Hello, let us engage in drama. Okay, so LonerBox, for those who don't know, is a large content creator. He's like a 100,000 subscriber YouTuber. So I've had a debate with him twice at this point, both times also with Destiny. Once it was just the two of them against me, and then the other time, the first time that I debated them, it was after a panel that both LonerBox and I were on, and that Destiny had held the Kicker Keep candle. I think it was called Kicker Keep. But anyway, so the point is that I made a previous video about my engagements with the two of them. And it was about basically the idea that LonerBox and Destiny were too comfortable with the idea of a status quo in Gaza. This is the basic topic of our second debate together. So I just wanted to sort of like go through some thoughts on that. So first, I just want to read his tweet. So my tweet was, just because the Destiny, that's the omniliberal, and Box Loner, that's LonerBox, are willing to accept the status quo doesn't mean that you should. And it's a 56-second video sort of explaining the sort of very very, very simplified version of that explanation. And then obviously beneath it, there's also a link to my video proper, which I'm also going to link at the bottom of this one. So his response to that is, imagine the colonizer mindset. You need to think an Israeli occupation of Gaza after everything that's happened would be anything other than total disaster. Imagine a bunch of IDF troops patrolling Gaza City, where every single person has lost loved ones to Israeli attacks. Oof. Okay. So let's start fleshing this out. I have notes. I have lots of notes. I tend to have notes on most things. I have lots of notes. This is going to be, I don't know, hopefully, okay, so directly before this, I also made a video about AI. Hopefully this is going to be a less long video than the AI video, because the AI video ended up being like 45 minutes. I'm hoping this is going to be like a 20-minute video. This is going to be super short. Okay, it's going to be great. Okay, so anyway, okay. The first component, okay, support for status quo, is not an agnostic position. This is really important. There's a difference between atheism and agnosticism. There's a difference between I don't believe in anything and I am firmly in opposition to something, if that makes sense, right? Agnosticism is a perfectly valid, it is the correct starting position on any given topic, right? You should start with an assumption that, hey, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? That is the first thing that everyone should think going into any given subject. I'm sorry, I had to put my water down. Hopefully the sound quality there wasn't too messed up. Anyway, so yeah, that's the correct starting point. However, what's frustrating is that there's this conflation here. There's this conflation between, because what he's doing in this component here, I forgot that that's a picture, that I can't just like, highlight it like I would do down in the agnostic person down there. It's very upsetting. I really wish that it was a thing that I could highlight, but that's fine. I don't even care. I care a little bit. Anyway, yeah, there's a difference between agnosticism and atheism. There's a difference between believing in something and simply saying, here are the facts of the matter. If LonerBox was just going about, hey, like, Quibbles, you made an argument in favor of this idea of this thing that you want to see happen in the Gaza Strip, right? And his response to that was simply, oh, Quibbles, I think that might fail, and here's why I think it might fail. And then he would to explain in detail why he thinks it might fail. That's a perfectly valid thing for him to do. I have no beef with that. That's totally valid. If he were also willing to do that for other subjects, for other concepts of things that we might do in reference to the Gaza situation, right? But the problem is that he's not doing that. The problem is that he's doing this thing where he is attacking everything but for the status quo. And so that's why in my explanation, I said that he is willing to accept the status quo, right? And his response is and I immediately after this, I hopped into his chat, and I was like, hey, what the fuck? This is ridiculous, right? I'm furious. I'm furious, right? And the reason that I was furious is because he is making this claim, and this claim is in support of the status quo. But then he claimed when I was in the conversation with him from the chat, he was like, well, no, I'm not arguing for status quo. I just think that what you're saying specifically is insane. But You are arguing for the status quo. If you're going to say that one individual idea is an insane one, and you're not willing rather, to make equivalent critiques of other ideas, then you are implicitly supporting the status quo. Okay. My previous video explains why I'm opposed to the status quo. If you want more detail, watch it. It's linked below. But in short form, I just want to get this out of the way so we can get to the rest of the stuff. Status quo is what resulted in October 7th to begin with. I don't want October 7th to happen again. If we go back to what was happening on October 6th, if that's the resolution, then October 7th is going to happen again, right? So Hamas leadership has stolen $11 billion from the Gazan people. Water access for Gazans is regularly disrupted because the terrorists literally tear up pipes to use as rockets to be shot at Israeli civilians while hiding behind Gazan civilians. The status quo is unacceptable. This is not a video about that. There's a previous video that is about why I think that. You're welcome to watch it, but I just want to move forward from there. Okay, why is agnosticism is agnosticism appropriate and inappropriate, and when is a non-position not acceptable? So as a starting point, it is always correct. This is important. Not everyone needs to be pushing a political agenda, right? It's okay to talk about politics without pushing a particular narrative. Hassan Piker, soy Hassan Piker. Okay, let's highlight that. Soy Hassan Piker. Quote: I'm a propagandist, right? He says this all the time. I'm a propagandist. Okay, you're a propagandist. We're all propagandists. I'm a monkey. You can say that because he's white. So he says this, right? And it's ridiculous. Okay. No, actually, not everyone who talks about politics is a propagandist. Some people who talk about politics are trying to simply get the facts out on the ground. They're not trying to push a political agenda. And so when Piers Morgan responds with, I'm a journalist, I want to be clear, in the case of Piers Morgan, I definitely do believe that Piers Morgan specifically does have a political agenda. But there are people out there who exist in the ether who are trying primarily to focus on education. And that is a legitimate thing to be focusing on. LonerBox knows a lot more on this subject than most people on Twitch poll who are, hear me out, very, 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 very stupid. Okay. The vast majority of people on Twitch, very dumb, right? And they talk about this all the time, but they're so incredibly stupid. And LonerBox is not so incredibly stupid. Okay, so I support the idea, just void context of LonerBox talking about this, because I'd much rather people listening to LonerBox than people listening to Hassan, I'm a propagandist, Piker, okay? Because Hassan, I'm a propagandist, Piker is a fucking buffoon, okay? Buffoon. Okay, the goal of building up an audience in reference to a topic like Israel-Palestine in an environment like Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, etc., should be twofold, right? You should be trying to make people agree with you, presuming that you have views, which the vast majority of us do, I'd argue LonerBox included. And the other one is the second one, this education component, right? The make people less fucking dumb, right? Most people online have absolutely no idea what's going on. So if you're listening to someone like LonerBox, that is good, because LonerBox knows what's going on better at the very least than the majority of his audience. Okay. Education as a premise doesn't always look like a direct lecture. So let's talk about debate. Okay, when you're in a debate, multiple things are going on. This isn't a classroom, right? You're watching this video because you feel like watching this video. You don't have to watch this video. You can turn it off whenever you want. The reason you're watching this is because you are interested in understanding what my views are on this, right? So this isn't a college classroom. No one is forced to sit and watch anything about the conflict on YouTube. Everyone is there of their own volition, and keeping them entertained is a prerequisite to any other good your content can provide, right? So that has to be a component of it. The goal when you're doing a debate isn't just to win. There are other things going on beyond just trying to convince the audience of your position, right? Yes, one of them is that you're trying to build an audience. This is a career for LonerBox. This is a career for Destiny. At this point, I'm considering maybe even thinking about it as potentially as a career for myself, right? So that's one component. The second component is like to flesh out multiple views, ideally in a manner that actually expands audience comprehension of the conflict. So it's true that I want to get my own views across, but I also, if the interlocutor that I'm engaging with is someone who I think is generally basically their heart is in the right place, and generally they're basically, in support of a view that might be dissimilar from my own, but is not a crazy view, right? It's different. This second one is not necessarily true. If I'm arguing against a Nazi, right, the way that I'm going to argue against a Nazi is going to be different than the way that I'm arguing against LonerBox, because LonerBox, though I disagree with him, is not fucking insane, right? So I do want people to understand where he's coming from as a component of my debate with him, right? Okay, then there's this third thing. To bring a level of sport and low stakes conflict into a topic that may otherwise, depending on the topic, be very dense and sometimes dry, right? So we are a people This is a direct to camera. You can't have the things or the notes on the side of me. This is a direct to camera thing. We are a people, okay, as humanity, okay? We are a people who like storytelling, right? And part of that storytelling is that when we're talking about something like Israel-Palestine, the truth is that this is not a matter of the storytelling, the narrative building of simply one perspective, number one. And number two, a lot of this is about information about, history and information about large groups of people, which are much more difficult for us to find a way of sort of emotionally grabbing onto, if that makes sense, than if you're having a conversation that is primarily about individuals, right? And so when I am framing a conversation, when LonerBox is framing a conversation as though it's a matter of our own personal disagreements with one another, the truth is that like LonerBox and I both, and Destiny and anyone in the space, is of relatively small levels of importance in comparison to people like Bibi Netanyahu, people like Biden, people who actually matter a lot in this conflict, right? Leadership of Hamas, right? So or Iran. So the reason that we're doing that, the reason that it's useful to have this third thing, the conflict between content creators, right? The quote tweeting of one another, this kinds of stuff like this. A part of that is for sure it's branding. It's trying to build up hype, but that hype is actually useful in that hype is able to make it a more interesting narrative, make it a more interesting sort of story that we're building together. And that's a shared duty. So not duty, I shouldn't say duty. It's a shared job that we're both engaging in on one another's behalf in certain ways, beyond just in direct opposition to one another. Okay. Is it acceptable to misinform at some level the audience? Okay, so obviously, I want to be clear. In this component, I'm not talking about people like Jackson Hinkle. I'm not talking about people who are genuinely, regularly, just straight up lying and straight up making up complete bullshit just out of their ass, right? That's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about is something like this. Destiny's editor titled my first debate with them both as being against, quote, an Israeli extremist, right? I was described as being an Israeli extremist. Okay, I'm many things. Okay, Israeli is not one of them. An extremist in this particular facet is not one of them. I want to be clear. On other things, on land policy, if you get me into a conversation about land policy, that's where I'll be extreme, okay? I assure you, I can be an extremist, okay? Quibbles can be an extremist. But on the matter of Israel-Palestine, genuinely, I'm just not. It's just not true. I'm not an extremist on this. So, that's something that is not true, but it's better clickbait. And because it's better clickbait, it means that more people are going to watch that video. And because more people are going to watch that video, it means that both Destiny's views are more being able to be better fleshed out for his audience, but also that my views are able to be fleshed out for his audience than they otherwise would. So I'm actually okay with him calling me an Israeli extremist there, even though it's not true. I don't know if I said that in the first video, because at that time I didn't really think this through this component of it, but my thought on that has evolved if it wasn't something that I said at the beginning. Okay. Onwards. Destiny and others, but particularly Destiny, are often complete fucking pieces of shit on Twitter. And are regularly baiting people into debating them or otherwise engaging, often negatively, with their content. So a lot of people, particularly if you go onto Reddit, will say oh, I like Destiny, but he's such a dick on Twitter. And they'll be like, this is a different group of people, but some people will be like, oh my God, I love Trump so much, but he's such a jerk on Twitter. He's so rude. He's so mean in these debates. And there's just no reason for it. There is a reason for it. You're an idiot. You're stupid. You don't understand what you like. Okay. I know what you want. You don't know what you want. Okay. I am the alpha. You are the omega. Okay. So here's the issue, right? That is bait. What he's doing there is bait. He's doing that in order to get people to interact with his content, to get people to watch his streams, to watch an hour of his content. If you do watch an hour of his content, it is very evident very quickly that his actual political philosophy is a lot less extreme, a lot less absurd and bombastic than what he appears to be on Twitter, right? Now, I took what I knew to be the most comparatively bombastic minute-long clip of from the 20-minute-long video, with the hope that it'd get response to stir up drama, a desire in the audience to stir up drama, to watch the full piece. And as evidenced by LonerBox's quote tweet and the now 56,700 views that my post partially as a result of that got, that worked. It totally worked for me. Right? And the goal is to use these short form content as a way of getting people to grapple with the nuance. But the content that therefore defines us all, right? So me and LonerBox and Destiny and Trump and every one of us, defines all of us in the political realm for the vast majority of people who don't watch our longer form, is that we come across, number one, as assholes. Letter A. I shouldn't say number A. Letter A, okay, as assholes, and letter B, as partisans, as lacking nuance, right? And so this is sort of a situation that's just true across all of media. And so in terms of convincing people to your side, that's sometimes in direct contradiction with the idea, the goal of elucidating the problem better, right? So this is a separate point, but like this is sort of all about the overview of the education component, right? And so from an education perspective, like this lacking of nuance, this partisanship, all of this stuff, the short form content that allows Destiny and allows people like him to be as successful as they are, that short form content is shit. It's really bad, right? And if that was how I understood Destiny to be, it was based exclusively on his Twitter, I would think that he was really shitty, right? And it's not just a matter of like, I would think that he was shitty in terms of like, I wouldn't personally like him. It's a matter of, I would think he's shitty in that I don't think that his Twitter, void the context of his stream, is good for the political environment, if that makes sense. Okay, cool. Convincing people to your side is sometimes in direct contradiction with the goal of elucidating the problem better. So, okay, let's talk about debating stupid people. I love debating stupid people. Or rather, I want to love to debate stupid people. And here's why. When you're debating a stupid person, okay, it's so easy. You don't have to do any preparation because you already know everything that they know and you already know a lot more than they know. You don't have to do any like thought process. You don't have to do anything. And it is so incredibly easy to just like play them like a fiddle and just like poke and prod. And they're always like 10 seconds away from saying something that is just genuinely unhinged. And the moment they say something genuinely unhinged, all you have to do is say, hey, nutjob, what you just said was genuinely unhinged. And you look like a genius. And everyone in the comment section is like, holy shit, Quibbles, you're so smart. And I get to go, yes, I in fact am such a genius. I'm very, very intelligent. I'm incredibly intelligent. It's very good for your ego, okay? But the problem is I already have a very large ego. And so the problem here is also that when you debate a nutjob, okay, you're basically arguing against a straw man. Essentially, right? You're arguing against, they're not literally a straw man and they are actually a real person who does really believe the thing that they're saying, but you're arguing against people who are not a good representation, even if they are a representative representation, which is to say like as a percentage of the opposition. They are not a good representative of the opponents. And so therefore you are risking not just that people are going to take a different position than you, but also they're going to become wildly misinformed because of the nonsense that is being spewed by this person. Okay, so this is taking people out of context, right? There's another thing that you can do. If you take people out of context, it's a lot easier to make them look stupid. And therefore you can pretend that you're debating a nut job, even if you're not actually debating a nut job. This is wonderful. Okay, it's very, very successful. If you do this, you can look smart, even if you're very stupid. Okay, this is something that Fox News does all the time. It's something that Daily Wire does all the time. It's something that some people on the left also do all the time, but that's a secret. Okay, we don't want to talk about Sam Seder because we talk about Sam Seder, then I'll get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble with the audience because I want everyone in the audience to love me. It's very important that everyone in the audience loves me. Okay, so I will not say that Sam Seder does this also, even though Sam Seder for sure also does this. Okay, anyway, claiming as the LonerBox did not to be holding a position when obviously you are, right? I don't like this one, right? This is the example of him pretending earlier in the thing below, claiming that he wasn't in support of the status quo when obviously he is in support of the status quo. I don't like this one. It triggered me to my core and I am furious and I will never forgive LonerBox or anyone else who dares to defy me in this way. Okay, what I just said there is obviously complete bullshit though, right? So why is it complete bullshit, right? I am triggered, that part's true. But the component where I will never forgive LonerBox or anyone else who dares to defy me in this way, that part is bullshit. Okay, why is it bullshit? He's way better than almost anyone else his size in terms of both the level of knowledge and level of reasonableness, whatever, in which he carries his position. Okay, now this is triggering the hell out of me. Okay, the fact that I keep on having these A's shit instead of having it be like 0.1 and 0.2, it's triggering me. Whatever. Point A, okay? That's not a high bar, right? LonerBox being smarter than the other people on Twitch is not a difficult thing to accomplish, but he does clear it. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a high bar to clear it, right? Or it shouldn't be necessarily a higher bar, okay? That's gonna be coming down here, but we wanna get through some more stuff first, okay? He's also massive. This is another thing. And if I want to be politically influential, right, or to be useful in the manner of education, part of what that looks like is trying to get on the stream of people like him, right? So if I want to actually matter in this world, either as an educator or as a political influencer, I love the term influencer. If I want to be an influencer of public discourse, okay, I need to talk to people like LonerBox. I need to talk to people like Destiny, like people like Vosh, people like Hassan Piker, okay? I love you, Hassan, okay? I have zero criticisms for you. You are a wonderful human being and you have done nothing wrong in your entire life. I adore you, okay? Let me on your stream. Okay, anyway, but I do need to get onto their streams, right? It is useful to do so. Okay, so what is good political content even from an education perspective? Okay. So this is coming back to this component over here. It shouldn't necessarily be a higher bar. Yins are dumb. Okay, yins is a Pittsburgh term for you all or for y'all or for it just means yins, you guys, whatever. But yins, unlike you guys, is gender neutral, which is very important because we're all hella SJWs. Okay, yins are dumb. I love you, but yins are dumb. Okay, that's why you're on YouTube. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, right now, I have a guess. Here's what's going on right now. Right now, I am in a little box over here, and I'm in this tiny little box, and you're doing some other task right now, okay? I'm on your little phone. Look at your phone. Hold up. Look at my case. Look how pretty my case is. Oop, it's upside down. Look at my case. It's really pretty. It says Pittsburgh on it. Okay, anyway, it used to be covered in paint, but then I rubbed off the paint, and it's wonderful now. Anyway, so, okay. You're probably not giving me your full attention right now. And that's totally valid. You don't owe me your full attention, right? Most of you, I would say that in the case of 80% of videos, 80% of the time, you're giving the video maybe 20% of your attention. And that's valid. You don't owe it even more than 1% of your attention. You don't owe it 0% of your attention. You could click off right now and that'd be totally valid. And you don't owe that to anyone, to any content creator, myself included. Okay. You're an American, presumably, or of some lesser country. You probably don't live in Israel. You probably don't even know any Israelis or Palestinians, maybe not even close to any Jews or Muslims, right? You personally might not know any of us, and that's okay. There's 30,000 different issues that you want to vaguely care about, but you can't know about all of them sufficiently. It's impossible to know about every single topic that's going on. Therefore, you need a TLDR, right? A too long didn't read. Okay, being good at writing a dissertation is a different skill than the skill of synthesizing an existing dissertation, whether by you or by someone else, into a shorter form piece of content that people actually want to engage in. And that's twofold. It's not just want to engage in, but can understand with a relatively low barrier of entry, right? Okay, so therefore, think of YouTube as being a preschool rather than as a college, okay? Classroom management becomes a much larger component of the job comparative to the actual stuff that's being taught, right? The stuff that I'm explaining, the stuff that LonerBox is explaining, the stuff that Dylan Burns and all those people are explaining online, okay? I got news for you, okay? It's not that deep. It's just not that deep. It's not. Anyone who is studying this topic, who has taken even one class on Israel-Palestine, knows more, not necessarily knows more than me, but knows more than the stuff that I am saying on stream, if that makes sense, right? And so convincing you as the audience to care, right? And that classroom management, that convincing you that this is something that is relevant to you and sparking some small portion of you to actually go out and genuinely become not a complete fucking idiot on any given, but not by definition all, it's impossible to become not a fucking idiot on all topics because the vast majority of us, right? Not all, the vast majority of us, all of us, right, have a limited amount of time, right? And so therefore we're not going to be able to become experts in every topic. You have to pick and choose. And so if I, as someone who is in this preschool world, in this world of like educating people in a matter that is very sort of, simplified, if I'm able to convince some small portion of you to be like, hey, like, okay, Quibbles has been talking this week about artificial intelligence, and also about Israel, and also about water security issues, and also about the issue of land tenure and all blah, 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 blah. And I am going to care specifically about artificial intelligence, and all the rest of this shit going by the wayside. Like, sure, I'll watch a video about it here and there, but like, I don't really care. What I really care about is artificial intelligence. I want to actually understand what is going on there, right? If I'm able to be used as a jumping off point for some small portion of you to actually go do that, then I am being incredibly useful. That's a good thing. Even though, obviously, I'm not going to be doing it for every single one of you on every single topic. That's impossible. I don't know why my screen just went and went black. It was really creepy. But fortunately, not all of you even watched it, because not all of you are even like have this video up because you have some other tab open, and that's okay. So, am I better than the college lectures that get 1/100th of the viewership that my debates with Destiny and LonerBox got? Right? Is this video a better one than their videos on similar topics? Yes. Yes, I am. I am better at explaining Israel-Palestine than the college professors who teach about Israel-Palestine full-time and have done so for decades, okay? Not because I know more than them, just because I am better at YouTube. And therefore, because I'm better at YouTube, I am the one who is better able to educate at this level of classroom management, at this preschool level rather than the college level. Cool. Okay. With that in mind, is LonerBox quote tweeting me and saying I'm guilty of colonizer mindset for trying to put forth a nuanced explanation of why exactly we should oppose the status quo in defending a very specific plan towards the end of putting Gaza on a path towards genuine independence, free from the influence of the terrorists that currently rule over them. That is one sentence. It was a very long sentence. Listen, bud. Okay, it is what it is. Okay, yeah, actually, my answer is yeah. I think arguably so. But by this logic, I have an obligation maybe to stop debating fucking idiots, right? That's also pretty self-serving because I've got to be honest with you, I'm idioted out. There's only so many conversations with imbeciles you can have before your brain begins to turn to cottage cheese. And I quite like my brain, and I'm also a big fan of the entity known as Quibbles. And so therefore, that's basically my thoughts on this. I may end up doing another video at some later date on the topic, but I just want to close it there.